All right, it's paint day for Project RedLine, and we're gonna go through the whole process with you. Now, there's everything from like the $15 rattle can, get a few cans from Walmart, spray your frame up, that kind of thing. The problem is, it's not impervious to gas, it'll fade, it's gonna scratch, that kind of thing. And then all the way on the other side is you could spend $1,000 or more giving this to a professional, having them paint it up, and it would look absolutely amazing. We're gonna land somewhere in the middle, hopefully close to the professional grade, for about $100. So what you see here is about $100 in product right now. And we're gonna make a pretty good paint job out of this that's gonna be impervious to gas, it's not gonna fade, those kind of things. And because it's Project RedLine, we are going with the brightest red that I could find that's still a Honda color. So it's a vintage Honda color. This is Tahitian red, and this is what we're gonna be painting our Project RedLine. So let's go over the supplies that we need to make this happen. So obviously, you're gonna prep it, you're gonna tape anything off that needs to be taped off, those kind of things. You're gonna be sanding, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I've already sanded this frame quite a bit, and you'll need a 3M pad. I've got 200 grit, I've got 300 grit, I've got 400 grit. I got a tack cloth to get any of the fuzzies, dust off, that kind of thing. I got acetone for cleaning it really, really well. We got some glazing putty. Got some primer here. Now, this is not your typical primer that you get at Walmart. Okay, this is actually stuff you got to order online. It's on Amazon, called Transtar 4603. Highly recommend this stuff. It's actually legit automotive primer that has some buildup and everything, and more importantly than anything, it sticks. It's the adhesion to the raw metal, between the raw metal and the paint. Now, we're going with Color Right off-road paint, and like I said, this is Tahitian red, so we got a couple cans of this. And then this is the key to the whole thing. This is the Max 2K clear coat. It's actually a 2-part automotive paint. You've got to pierce it when we're ready, and then it mixes and everything like actual automotive clear coat. And what this does, this seals up all of this so it's impervious to gas and fading, and will really come out glossy. So this is actually really, really important. Don't just use a regular gloss that you find at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. So now let's talk about the process. Okay, so what you didn't see is I've already sanded on this frame for a couple hours. The first thing that you want to do is you want to clean this frame with acetone, and you want to clean it. And then once you think you've got it clean, then clean it one more time, because you've got to get every grit and piece of grease and fingerprints and everything off of this frame, because if you don't, then when you start sanding it, you'll actually sand that grease into the frame, and then your primer and your paint's not gonna stick right. Okay, so the first thing, you're gonna clean like crazy, then you're gonna start sanding. So I started by sanding the original paint with 200 grit. Now, this frame is kind of unusual compared to like a car with big surfaces. It's got all these weld seams and all these funny little surfaces. So this is where the 3M pad actually came in really, really handy to get in there, because you don't want any glossy paint left over. It has to all be sanded. Every little bit of it has to be sanded, or the paint and the primer is not going to stick to it. So that's the main job. That's why it took a couple hours, is you got to get everything has to be sanded. And then you can even go back with a 300 after that. But then at that point, that's when I started spraying some of the primer on it. Now, this is actually a really, really good frame. There's no rust on it. There's really no body damage on it. There's just some chips in the paint, especially where they had that crazy auxiliary gas tank that was right here. It chipped the paint, those kind of things. So where you see the primer, I just used it sparingly. That's where I either got down to raw metal, or I had some chips I wanted to fill. Now, these little chips in the paint didn't fill with the primer, so that's where I used the glazing putty. And in a little bit, we'll do one last sand on here, and it should be good to go. Now, you'll notice that I didn't primer the whole thing, because primer is really used for where you have raw material or raw metal. That's the glue between that and the paint. If you have good paint, and this is actually good paint on here, if you have good paint, then all you have to do is actually sand that and scuff it up, and you can actually paint right over that. So I like to get it down to about a 300 grit before I get to the actual color. You could go 400, but this one's a little motorcycle. It's not a car that's gonna sit in a showroom or anything like that. We're gonna use this one. This is not, some trailer queen. that's going to show up at shows and those kind of things. So it's going to be used. So going down to a 300 grit, we'll sand it really good. And then we're gonna clean it again with acetone, and then we're gonna use the tack cloth, get any little lint fuzzies off that, and then we're gonna mix up the paint real good, and then we're gonna start spraying it. Then we're gonna let it sit probably for a day or two and let it gas off and those kind of things, and then we're gonna come back with the Max 2K and give it a really nice glossy clear coat. So here we go. Here we are, and it's a couple days later. Our Tahitian red paint job has dried, and you'll notice it's not shiny anymore, and that's because I knocked it back wet sanding with 400 grit to take some of those blemishes out. You don't need to do that, but the next step that we're gonna do, this is the critical part. This is the Max 2K. This is a 2 parts gloss, and this is gonna give it all that, the shine and the resilience. So we're gonna puncture this can, and we're gonna start spraying. Here we go. Here we are with the finished CT70 frame. The paint's finished. I think it turned out great. Put a couple little chrome things on it, put the decals on it, and man, it really pops. Great thing is, this didn't cost a lot of money. It took some time, a little bit of elbow grease, but for about $100 in materials, we got pretty much a professional paint job, and that's something that you can do too. So thanks for watching the paint episode, and now we get to start putting it together. So follow along with us as we put together the rest of the bike and take it for a ride.